Rockin' in the Morning with Bill.
Welcome to episode 11 of Cosmic Motion, an audio program where we discuss motion pictures good, bad, and ugly, and always interesting throughout the cinematic cosmos. We will be talking about all kinds of elements of this film and will likely spoil some. Please watch the film first, then come back, kick back, join the discussion. We're recording this on January 26th, 2025. It's a somewhat atypical rainy day in Los Angeles. I'm here with my esteemed colleague, Colin, who is an editor of episodic programs of various kinds.
Yes, sirree. And I'm here with my esteemed colleague, William Boudel, who is a writer, director, actor, raconteur, all the tours.
This week, our guest is David Draper. David is a Blacklist recommended screenwriter and award-winning genre lover who enjoys crafting high-concept horror and thrillers that captivate and terrify. His Thing on a Slave Ship feature screenplay Voracious was trending on the Blacklist in 2022, and he holds a shopping agreement with an LA Times reporter for his true crime pilot Beheaded. He has earned accolades on the Cover Fly Red List and Austin Film Festival as a finalist, as well as semi-finalist and quarterfinalist in some of the industry's most competitive contests. His two short horror screenplays, He Will See You Now and The Agreement at Clivemore, are in pre-production and post-production, respectively. Welcome, David.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Full disclosure, David and I are writing a feature together. It's coming along. We've put it aside for now, but we're gonna continue it, and I think it's coming along well.
Very well. Very, very excited about that one.
David, I know you, aside from being a wonderful human being, as a guy who loves movies, especially horror. How did you get interested in movies? Like, what was it when you were a kid? Did you see a film? Did your parents encourage it? Were they into films?
Well, my parents, my father's from Arizona and my mother's from Costa Rica, and they met in a wonderful city that we're in right now, Los Angeles, and they had me.
So you were born here and not in San Diego?
No, I was born in Florida, so they tell me, but I was only there for 8 months.
Okay.
And then they put me in the back seat with my grandma.
Okay.
And we went to Las Vegas, Nevada, then Northern California, and then eventually San Diego.
Okay.
Neither my mom or my dad were really that into films. They're both creative in their own way. I would say it was my grandfather, my mom's father. He, Costa Rican, lived in San Diego. He and I would sneak off to the drive-in theater.
You told me many drive-in stories,
yes.
I remember, yes.
And he would take me to movies that I, quote-unquote, wasn't supposed to see, a la Death Wish, Piranha, The Car.
He took you to see, how old were you when you saw Death Wish?
I think I was 7.
Holy
maybe
smokes.
6.
Charles
Excellent.
Bronson just taking out pimps left and right.
Hey, mister, got a match? Yeah. What else you got? Let's see the money, man.
You'll have to take it.
He had a big station wagon. He would crack open probably like a Michelob or something.
Yeah.
And we would just watch this. And what's funny, the movie that we were supposed to see would always be, I could see it in the other screen in the back window. So in the back window, there'd be like, Swiss Family Robinson or something. And then here we are looking at The Car with James Brolin.
Would he tell your mother, like, yeah, we're going to go see Swiss Family Robinson? And then he'd drive into the car parking lot and watch that?
I think that's what he would tell his wife, my grandmother.
That's amazing.
But my parents kind of knew what he was doing, and everyone's like, that's cool.
I still haven't seen The Car. I need to check that.
Apparently, I recommend it.
I hear Guillermo del Toro had one rebuilt exactly as from the car. with James Brolin. I think?
James Brolin is. I forget who else is in it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I think it holds up. It's definitely a Friday night. You're doing nothing. Put on the car. It's got a fantastic sound.
Yeah.
The car they do with this horn. I won't give it away, but it sounds completely demonic to this day.
Fantastic. So your grandfather really had an influence on you loving movies.
Yeah.
And it sounds like genre films.
Yes. Yeah, that was probably the big thing. And then in Northern California, there was a channel, kind of like, I think every major city had one, of the late night horror show.
Oh, yeah.
Creature features or things like that. But in this case, it was creature features just outside of Oakland in San Jose, where we would live, watching those till midnight.
Was there a host, like a
Yeah, a
Sven
guy
Gulli?
named Bob Wilkins. That's his.
I like how most of them are like Vampira, Monstro,
Yeah.
and yours was Bob Wilkins.
Bob Wilkins. Anybody who grew up in Northern California should know Creature Features, hosted by Bob Wilkins.
Oh,
And it was just a lot of fun. And then from there, typical, you hear the story, the kid with 8mm camera, the kid with the VHS camera, that was me. And then writing stories, head of the CCTV club in high school, writing stories in college, short stories, etc.
were you
Usually
writing
horror?
Yeah, I was about to ask you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So usually horror, even then.
Yeah, usually horror, thriller, or some of them were superheroes that were evil. Mm-hmm. Those were kind of fun. We turned them into comic books. But yeah, and then moved to LA when I was about 21. Got a job as an intern at Universal Studios with a little development deal place called Day Job Films, and then eventually landed at assisting with casting, and then getting a job at a talent agency. And that's where really the screenwriting, quote unquote, really took off for me, with some getting an agent and going to Austin and some other things. This is a while ago, of course.
Mm-hmm. Were you still writing screenplays then as well when you were doing those jobs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, writing on the side.
Mm-hmm. And now you're still writing horror and thriller, and that's basically what you stuck to, right?
Yeah.
And that is your ground base. What kind of horror do you prefer, or is it all horror?
Well, the horror that I like to write is usually supernatural, the macabre, cross between Poe, Lovecraft. Not so much of slasher or a quote unquote typical thriller horror. Horror that has something to say, such as Voracious, set during the Atlantic slave trade.
It's a great script. It's a great script.
Little things that I'm working on, things that you and I have worked on,
Yeah.
usually have something to say in a horrific way. And I'm not the only one who does it. I think some of the best writers have something to say in their story,
Yeah.
whether it is horror or something else, something beyond the A to Z of the story, something you leave the theater or the television screen going, okay, I really enjoyed that, and then I'm now thinking about it still. But yeah, I think those two, supernatural, macabre, is my flavor.
Yeah. When you were a kid, was there a particular horror film that you were just enamored with?
Well, I think like a lot of people, Alien really struck with.
Alien. Yeah.
I mean, it's a haunted house in space.
That connects us with Harry Dean Stanton today.
Yes, it does.
Very different roles.
Yes, it does. And Night of the Living Dead, of course. We've all heard these movies, and people talk about how much those movies stuck into their soul.
Yeah.
And then watching the television version of Salem's Lot.
Toby Hooper.
Oh, yeah.
Toby Hooper, Texas Chainsaw, going on into the 90s. Obviously Scream, and things today. Anything Eggers does obviously leans towards the supernatural, the macabre. I'm always drawn to that.
Yeah.
Are you an Ari Aster guy?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Very, very much so.
Okay.
A lot of great stuff happening right now. I mean, like we were talking about earlier, I think horror is not only my favorite genre, I think it's the best playhouse to move around in. It's the best sandbox. There's so many creative things you can do in horror, new ideas.
Horror is very permissive as a genre. You can get away. I mean, I believe any genre is, but especially in mainstream where things get limited very quickly, horror seems to get a pass where a lot of other genres in mainstream wouldn't, you know?
Yeah, it gives you latitude to do things that would give you laughed out of the room in any other milieu. So.
Because a horror is essentially, at least to me, dark fantasy. It's fantasy that can usually tie in somehow with our fears. Would you say, David, that your favorite aspect of filmmaking is writing?
Yeah, writing's my thing. I've been asked, if you want to direct something, like we just finished a short this past December that I wrote. We had a director, a great guy named Ryan Godoy. But yeah, people say to writers, hey, do you want to direct? Maybe. Yes. Possibly. Is it something that's gnawing at me? No. So far, my lane is screenwriting. That's what I enjoy.
I mean, I guess the dream for any writer is that their script just goes unmolested all the way through the process, right? That's where you start wanting that control, is when people start, hacking and slashing at your script, maybe.
Yeah. Like I said, maybe one day, but right now, film is obviously a very collaborative process. And I think whether you're a director or a writer or gaff or whatever, be very good at in your lane, and then make sure you master that as much as you can. And then who knows what the next could be. But there are people like Bill, like others I know, who know a lot more about directing and the technicality of it. So why not, at least this point in my life, partner with those people and make a team?
Mm-hmm. What are you working on lately in terms of your writing? I know that you have the one short in post-production, The Agreement of Clivemore, and you are writing another one?
Yeah, writing... I've got kind of three things in the hopper right now. The short is in editing. We want to have a first draft of the edit by middle of this February, like about a month. I'm working on feature film with Bill. And then I've got another feature I'm writing on my own that I'm very excited about, a horror feature. And my mother passed away last October, and I think it was her who inspired this story that I have knocking around my head, set in a skilled nursing facility. One night, strange things occur.
I like it. Well, let's get to this film. Quote, "When I made it, it was a kind of futuristic film, a science fiction film. But alas, everything which we expose in the film has become now part of our life." Bertrand Tavernier. Film we're talking about today is Death Watch, 1980. I was thinking about making an attempt at the plot. In the future, nobody dies from illnesses. There's a reality show named Death Watch, and they convince a doctor to lie to a perfectly healthy author, Katherine Mortenhoe, played by Romy Schneider, that she is dying of a terminal illness so they can film her as she thinks she's living her last days. Producer Vincent Ferriman, played by Dean Stanton, hires Roddy, played by Harvey Keitel, a man with cameras implanted in his eyes, to befriend her and follow her around as she goes through this psychodrama. Eventually, Roddy falls in love with Katherine, and the whole plan goes awry.
Okay, first of all, I want to call bullshit, Bill, because you had me summarize the plot in the last episode, and I just had to do that off the dome, brother.
I'm sorry.
So sure, yeah, have your notes and your storylines all planned out.
I am all noted up, my friend.
Oh man, what a jip.
If you want to, you also
no.
Can have.
I kid. You nailed it.
Now, as a writer, you get to summarize that into a log line.
That's right.
Right?
Let's see, what would be a good log line? I guess we'll take it from Katherine Mortenhoe. Katherine Mortenhoe is a well-known author who is tricked into thinking that she is dying so that a reality show named Death Watch can document it. And while she goes through this psychodrama, a man with cameras implanted in his eyes falls in love with her, and the plan goes awry.
Okay, see? It's not as
that was like
bad.
One or two sentences.
Yeah.
That was basically what I said, but just shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay. This film is French and West German, mostly in English with some French and a tiny bit of German. It was produced by Gabriel Bustiani, Janine Rubis, and Bertrand Tavernier, the director. And it's distributed by Celta Films, Little Bear, Sarah Films, Gaumont, Antenne 2, TV 13 Munich, and Quartet Films. That is, it's a European film. It earned about $7.6 million when it came out, and Shout Factory put it out in 2012 on Blu-ray, and if you want to buy it abroad, a place called Park Circus put it out in Region 2. I watched it on Roku. Where'd you guys check it out?
I found it on the old Criterion channel, which was a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the Crit channel.
Yours truly watched it on something called YouTube.
What?
Where it had no ads.
I sent you a Roku link.
Wow.
I don't have Roku or...
It's free. You just type that pup.
Yeah, but he just said no ads.
Yeah, but there were no ads. But also, over Christmas, my brother-in-law, if you're listening to this, Ryan, thank you, got us all YouTube what's the called?
Premium?
Premium.
Nice.
For a year,
Nice.
which is pretty good.
It's actually one of the few, and I don't want to shill for Google because they've got enough help as it is. But
I'm sorry, Goohoo?
yeah, exactly. They're lesser known mom and pop, but that is actually kind of a worthwhile subscription because just the amount of time that you're going to spend on YouTube and not being berated with the plethora of crap that gets thrown in your face just by having that.
I'd recommend it if you can. It's pricey, but it seems worth it. My sister and all of her family swear by it.
Yeah.
Well, this was directed by Bertrand Tavernier, who's made stuff like The Clockmaker, A Sunday in the Country, Round Midnight, and Captain Conan, none of which I've seen. Have either of you seen any Bertrand Tavernier films? He's a French filmmaker.
I have seen Round Midnight, but I'll be damned if I can remember one. I mean, he's pretty much doing stuff in Europe, right?
Yeah, he mostly makes films in Europe.
But I mean, I remember seeing Round Midnight because I'm a big Dexter Gordon fan. And he's part of that, but that's really where it ends for me.
I saw Around Midnight, same thing. Great jazz film, great score, Dexter Gordon. And I also saw In the Electric Mist.
Oh, I have seen
with-
that.
yeah.
I have seen In the
Tommy
Electric
Lee
Mist.
Jones.
That was not great.
Oh, well, I saw it because I am a huge fan of James Lee Burke, the author.
Sure.
Oh,
Who wrote In the Electric Mist. It was called In the Electric Mist with the Confederate Dead. I've read probably 5 of his books, and that's the character that Tommy Lee plays is this kind of semi-detective in the Louisiana Bayou.
Well, I remember John Goodman's in that too. I bet the book is much better than the movie. I thought the movie meandered and didn't quite end.
Great. I don't have tons of recollection about the movie, but I do remember being a little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
Read the book, Bill.
Yeah, no, I remember I worked at this bookshop called the Mystery Bookstore in over by UCLA in Westwood for a while, and he was a very popular author with the mystery crowd. So I was a little bit familiar with him from there. Well, let's talk about this cast, guys. Who's in this movie? It's a cast of internationals.
yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like the appropriate way through is to start with the lesser knowns.
Okay.
And work your way up.
All right. I think I know who you're going to talk about. Who are you going to talk about?
Well, you actually, I'm stealing your thunder because you brought him up off mic, but I guess let's start with old Robbie Coltrane.
The man.
Yes.
Boom.
Limousine driver. Baby Robbie Coltrane is in this. This is his first film. Same year that he did Flash Gordon and a few years before The Magnificent Krull. I love Krull. I'm serious.
I'm a fan.
I love Krull.
Bill, do you have a glaive?
I might.
Okay.
I might. Anybody else you want to talk about? Anybody else?
I got one for you.
Yeah, go
Let's
for
see
it.
if you two notice this.
Okay.
Small role
Yeah.
with Romy's character, Romy Schneider. Bill Nye's in this.
What?
What?
Yes, he is.
What?
He has,
No.
He has dialogue.
Where's about?
What?
He is about
I didn't spot old Bill.
25, 22 minutes in. Romy's character is talking to...
Is he the priest?
No, he's like a coworker of hers or another writer.
I'm looking at IMDb right now. It says man in Harriet scene. What's the Harriet scene?
Harriet is that kind of AI device
Yeah,
that
it's
you
just-
would talk to.
It's her whippersnapper computer.
Is he the guy in the room with her when she's talking to Harriet? That's Bill
wow.
Nye?
Yeah.
Holy smokes, I
even-
didn't recognize him.
You can't see this, listeners, but I even snapped a picture and zoomed in just to prove to myself. But then I did look it up, and
Wow.
He
He's in
had
it.
fabulous
eye.
like Johnny Unitas hair in that scene.
Good eye. Bill Nye is amazing. What a
Truly
fantastic.
is. Wow. Yeah, we're looking at him.
Bring that over here.
He's got for the listeners, he's got like a Gen Z perm.
Holy smokes. Bill Nye. Baby Bill Nye.
Wow, good pull, Dave.
But
That's
Robbie
fantastic.
Coltrane was I noticed that I'm guilty of stopping and starting the film, but Robbie Coltrane I noticed first, and then
Yeah.
Bill Nye. So,
Robbie Coltrane sticks out.
yeah.
He's got a very particular gait.
He has a physicality about him, and he's got that Robbie Coltrane face.
Yes.
Well, okay, some other people in this. Do you want to go on about other people?
Well, I'll jump to the leads.
Jump to the leads.
Yeah, I
Jump
mean,
on in.
Harry Dean Stanton. Everyone is a fan of the Harry Dean. Harry Dean Stanton plays kind of the lead executive of some international,
Vincent Ferriman.
international media conglomerate that does the highest rated shows.
Like a
in the-
Bune and
on the
Murray,
world.
but
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, I loved his I thought his last name was interesting, Ferryman, like the ferryman of
The man who carries
the
people from one place
over
to
the river
another.
Styx to the underworld.
To the dead? Okay, I didn't catch that. Good catch. Probably straight from the novel.
And since this film was made in 1980, I'm wondering, well, production timeline, if Harry Dean just finished a little movie called Alien.
Alien, yeah. So Alien comes out 79. This comes out in 80. So, yeah, back to back.
Yeah.
It's an interesting contrast for sure because he's playing a salt of the earth, salt of the space.
Space trucker.
Working class. Yeah, he's playing a space trucker. Starring who is the space trucker?
Oh, it stars...
Charlie Dance. He's in there.
Charles Dance is in the first Alien?
No, he's in Space Truckers.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
Brad Dourif. Anyway, so it's quite a contrast. He's playing white collar here.
I thought you were like blowing my mind with, because I was like, well, he's in Alien 3.
Yeah.
No. My space trucker knowledge is nil. I know nothing about space truckers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I know George Wentz in that movie.
Oh my
Charlie
gosh.
Dance.
Oh my gosh.
And not Brad Dourif. Who am I thinking from Blade?
From Blade, not
bad guy.
Oh.
True Detective.
Hold on.
I'm blanking on his name.
The guy who was a kid in the gate. Yeah.
Why? This is so easy. It's right here. See,
I can't remember.
My brain fart has now become your brain fart. It'll come
I
to
don't
us.
remember his name. It'll come to me.
Yes. Anyway,
Who else is in this, David?
When I think sci-fi, I think Harvey Keitel.
Yeah.
Like anybody. Right?
Me too.
Yes.
Me too.
Harvey Keitel is in this. He plays a character named Roddy.
Katherine! Roddy! Yeah! Roddy! Roddy, what happened? What happened?
The flashlight.
What?
Oh.
What?
Flashlight, find it.
Roddy!
Help me find it. Find it. The flashlight.
Where?
The flashlight.
Roddy!
Yes.
Roddy, please!
Find the flashlight. Damn it. Please find the flashlight.
Where?
Oh.
Wait, that's it.
Where?
Roddy!
Where?
Here!
Turn it on. This way. Flash your hair this way.
Yes,
Go
here.
ahead. Go ahead.
Here.
Right in my eye. Don't worry. Shine her in my eyes. Go ahead. Damn you! Turn it on. Does soap water run it? Turn it on.
It is on. Who are you?
And then Romy Schneider, who is you correct me, Bill, a French actress.
She's Austrian.
Austrian
From
actress,
Vienna. Yeah.
Very prolific and well-known, and a lot of people are fans of her.
Yeah. She died young, actually. There's a kind of a tragic element to her life, which I just found out today. Her kid, there's a football sequence in a park where like some kids are playing in the background and she's talking or whatever.
yeah.
That's one of them is her son, who died impaled on a fence in 1981. So like the next year, then she died herself from an overdose of sleeping pills, like a year or two later. So, and she was only 43.
I had heard that she died young. I was just kind of assuming, and I thought maybe just because, and not to jump the gun on this film, but maybe she was dealing with a terminal illness or something. I didn't realize it was that crazy.
It's a weird irony that she takes pills in this and she took pills in real life, probably suffering just the trauma and depression of losing her son.
Yeah.
Crazy. But I think she's magnetic on screen. She's incredible. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have a number of issues with this film.
Okay.
I knew nothing about it going in. I just had it on my list to watch. But Romy Schneider is not one of those issues. I think she's amazing. In fact, all of the actors are fine in this film, but she in particular shines.
I'll sneak in one more name.
Yeah.
Max von Sydow. Is in
Yeah,
this
Max
film.
von Sydow, who
In the last
not a false
15
note.
minutes.
No, he was. I think he hasn't been in much, right? He's in Judge Dredd.
Yeah,
That's about it,
Judge
right?
Dredd. I think he was in Dune 1984.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
okay.
one of the. He's like an ambassador to the Fremen kind of thing. They teach
yeah.
him about the still suits and all that.
Oh, and extremely loud, incredibly close, but that's about it.
I think that's it. That's
yeah,
it.
Max, he doesn't work much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. We're on the same page.
Well, with a name like von Sydow, I mean, how are you really going to get through Hollywood?
Yeah. Seriously. Well,
Very strange.
luckily, old Max didn't have to start in Hollywood.
Minority Report.
You're in Hollywood, man. Change your name. Call yourself Steele, Max Steele.
Yeah.
That would have gotten him roles.
That's true.
No.
The great Max von Sydow. He's had quite a storied career.
I don't know what you're talking about.
In this film, Max has some great these stories. You could just listen to Max talk and tell stories. That could make a 2-hour film right there.
I just want to ask you guys about one of the other actors that's in this very briefly. He plays Harry Graves, which is like the current wife of Romy Schneider's Katherine Mortenhoe.
Yes.
And his deliveries are so strange and hard to understand, and the intonation is like he pronounces words incorrectly, and nobody wanted to correct him. I understand if his name's Vadim Glauna that he's probably not, hailing from Nebraska, but help the guy out, help a brother out.
I mean, that really is all it came down to for me. Is he just struck me as so European, in his demeanor. It's I just think the foreignness of him trying to do an English speaking role as well, which is an interesting choice. I guess maybe it's because they wanted to get some of these American actors, but this feels like such a European film, and it's
yes it does.
So there's a real series of contrasts in there.
Usually feeling like a European film is a positive thing in my book. Let's talk a little bit about how this story was executed on the screen.
Okay.
What do you guys feel about what you saw? Because I feel like maybe my opinion is going to be very different than yours, and that's okay. And I want to explore what you guys have to say before I rant.
Before we jump into that, the story is based on a novel, which had, at least if I remember, had 2 different titles.
Yes, it does have 2 different titles.
Yeah, what are they, Bill?
Okay, the 2 different titles. The novel is The Unsleeping Eye by David G. Compton, a.k.a. The Continuous Katherine Mortenhoe. And the script was written based on that novel by David Raphael and Bertrand Tavernier, the director.
The Unsleeping Eye, now that's a title.
It's my prediction that if I read this novel, I would be much happier with the execution than with this film. But how did you guys feel about this film? And please, go at it. Talk about how you loved it, whatever the case.
I'm going to be such an American right now. And I have not read the story. And I agree with you that the novel was probably going back to 1981, late 70s. And I don't know when the novel was written. When was the novel written?
The novel came out in, I think, 76 or something? I have to look it up.
For a story like this in the mid-1970s, that's a pretty unique story.
Yeah.
It's very prescient to talk about this. It's almost this Truman Show like
1974.
Yeah, this Truman Show like story of a network wanting to film people as they die. That must have come across as really new.
100%.
Yeah. So to take that novel and to turn it into the film we all saw, which I will be the first to say, and I think Bill's hinting at this, a bit slow. And again, I'm going to be such an American, but a very, very European film. It has its moments, I think, that are really nice. But the Shout Factory brought it back to its original length. I think the American version was about 16, 17 minutes less.
They probably cut the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess I didn't realize there were different versions. I feel like I've definitely watched the long version. And I will agree that it does meander at points. And, Jesus Christ, I mean, how many minutes can you devote to talking about this orchestra, Max von Sydow? There are moments like that where it feels a bit indulgent, really self-indulgent. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Dave on this one. I mean, I feel like there was a prescience to it that was interesting to consider given the period of time that it came out in. But not only that, I don't know, I was kind of captured by it by dint of its style. It almost felt like I was watching like a Nicholas Roeg movie. And actually, I really got, and I don't know how you feel about this. Maybe this is, maybe I'm just projecting way too much, but I got shades of like Children of Men from this movie.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. And I don't know, as a vision of the future, I feel like this will age better than a lot of attempts. And I'm not saying that there isn't a charm to, a movie from the 60s or 70s trying to project into the future and just not nailing it at all. I can appreciate, a Logan's Run or whatever, but I don't know. I thought that there's kind of a timelessness in their attempt, even though some of it is pretty ham-fisted. Some of those concepts don't quite butt up against each other all that well. But yeah, I mean, you've got like a kind of an early glimpse of AI stuff in here. You've got this interesting view on reality TV and the capture creep of surveillance capitalism. And I think all that stuff's kind of interesting. Am I saying that the movie handled all of those things as philosophically competently as it could have? Probably not. There are definitely some moments that stick out as being a little bit jarring in a bad sense. But I think that, I don't know, I think this movie had a lot going for it, and I'm surprised by how competently made it was. And I thought that it took some real chutzpah to cast Harvey Keitel in a role like that. It's a strange one for him.
I think there's a few people cast against type here. You know? Harvey Keitel and, as we talked about, Harry Dean Stanton playing basically like a producer in this case. He's not the first guy I would think of to play like a corporate type who's going to, sell your soul or buy your soul or whatever.
You could easily switch those two actors in their roles.
You could
have Harry Dean Stanton play a reporter, so to speak, looking for a big break, always up for something, being paid, has the cameras implanted, and Harvey Keitel could be the American television executive, producer. Yeah. It's interesting, Colin, that you brought up Children of Men. I absolutely thought of that last night when we watched it. That story of if there was no, I don't think we've talked about this yet, but we're set in a future where there's no death, no illness.
Yes, I mentioned that in my brief written plot description.
Yeah. And so instead of it being some utopia, we can all live so much longer, it actually, everything's so dour and sad and boring. There's a passion has been pulled out of life's socket. And so now we have to have shows like this.
Yeah. Well, like usually we see early depictions of sort of like an extreme reality TV, especially like in the sci-fi landscape. You get like Running Man, you get that sort of thing. You rarely see the inverse of that. And that's kind of what this is.
I think that the concept for this is extremely sophisticated and impressive. That's one of the best things about this is just the ideas. I think they're fantastic. And that obviously speaks to the strength of the novel too. I also think that the acting is fantastic. However, I have a few issues. The script.
I could see that butt getting off the taxi like 12 blocks away.
The script feels really sloppy. It feels thrown together.
Sure.
The dialogue at times is just nonsense. And the actors mostly are great, but there's a few, like the one I mentioned earlier, who doesn't even pronounce words in English in a way that shows that he even understands what he's saying. Like he might just be saying it phonetically. And then there are various instances of weak moments and scenes. The visual language of the film, a film about watching, is sloppy. It has impressive one-ers and tracking shots, dolly shots. However, they don't feel like they necessarily well chosen or purposeful. And so, in other words, it feels like he's writing with these sophisticated tools as a director, but he doesn't know why or when to use them. And also shooting in 1979 Glasgow feels a little odd. Like this is the town that he's chosen to depict the future because, as he said himself, I watched an interview with him, that Glasgow was kind of this falling apart, decaying landscape. And he thought that eventually the future was going to feel like that. And that's interesting. But, when you've seen other things that show a futuristic, or at least seemingly futuristic landscape falling apart, I don't know, it feels rather unimaginative and silly.
To that point, I mean, there were shots in this film where it made me want to visit Glasgow.
I like the locations. Yeah, I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, like the opening shot is like this beautiful cemetery. I actually thought that they were like in Père Lachaise or something like that.
Okay, this is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. That beautiful cemetery, and there's like a little boy or somebody sitting in one of the stones, and this music just bashes in, and you're just like, what's happening? What's going on? And then the camera keeps lifting and lifting over the cemetery, lifting a beautiful shot of the cemetery. You see the city. I'm just like, what are they trying to tell us right now? Because it is not being effectively communicated.
When you break it down that way, I can definitely see there's a bit of a discrepancy between the tradecraft and the story for sure.
It's weird because it's like the ideas are there to do something interesting. Like, yes, use dolly moves. yes, use this wonderful orchestrated music. I would have preferred personally an electronic or some kind of future looking score, but whatever. Like this works too. But the way it's cut in, the score feels really sloppy and oddly positioned at times. Sometimes I'm watching an image and then the score just throws me out of what I'm watching, such as that instance at the very beginning of the movie. In fact, that was sort of one of the harbingers of like, this might not be good. Like, let's see what's going to happen with
I agree at points, but there are times when the score is utilized beautifully in really interesting ways. I mean, one, and I know we're still kind of talking about the plot a little bit, but if we're talking about the score, I mean, there are those moments that are really discordant and will take you out of the film, but then there are also these movies where the score is really doing a lot to highlight kind of exactly what you're seeing on screen. And there's this kind of this theme that kind of sounds like a disjointed circus theme. I don't know. And it just felt like at the height of Katherine Mortenhoe's discombobulation with like her illness and what's happening and wanting to be filmed by this company, that kind of a theme kicks in. And I felt like that really served the film in those moments. And there is kind of like these sweeping strings that work with like the seascape that they end up at the end and things like that. But yes, then there are these moments where it does bash you with this thematically inappropriate music.
I noticed that too, Colin, and I like that point that there are times when that theme works, but then there's a time when it's almost becomes the two of them go on the road when they're heading towards the ocean.
Yeah, it becomes kind of a road movie. Yeah.
And the score rumbles in, and it's like someone said, we need some music here to make it seem like the clock is ticking. Make it seem like a thriller.
That's what it feels like.
Completely out of place.
That's what it feels like. It feels like a producer note, or somebody came in, they were like, they had some other music over the beginning of the cemetery, right? Death. This is about death, cemetery.
Right.
And they threw this heavy hand, like the music is good. It's not bad music. I'm not complaining about the composer. I'm just saying that it's inappropriately placed and cut in. The music editing is bad. And that's not necessarily the music editor's fault. It's probably either Tavernier or the producers or somebody with money saying, we need this to be more exciting or something like that.
What's going back to the shots, there's that oneer in the market, which is very well shot.
Bill and I were talking about that off mic, and I actually think something like that, not to cut you off, Dave, but I think something like that actually really serves the themes of this film. But I'd be interested to get your take on that. That
was very Children of Men, that shot through the marketplace where, is it Robbie Coltrane's character who's chasing Catherine?
Yep.
Yeah, it starts inside where they're buying the wigs, follows them around a casino, into the outside, past all these different shops, and like a group full of like, I don't want to call them gypsies, but whatever they are, like kind of doing like a ceremony. And then, there's kids running around, and then it breaks off from Robbie Coltrane, who's in pursuit of Catherine, and follows Catherine.
Follows her, yeah.
And it's really technically difficult. I have to imagine they must have rehearsed that for days. And that moment in particular, I feel like it serves I guess if we were going to get into the themes of this film, paranoia is definitely high up there, for better or worse. And I would say that, moves like that heighten that sense of paranoia and surveillance. And I don't know, I think that stuff serves the film, but there's times when it's not used so well, or times when it's out of place.
Yeah, there was a shot. I mean, that's, I think, maybe one of the better ones. There's a shot where Harvey Keitel and Romy Schneider are on a hill sitting, just talking, and the camera during the conversation suddenly moves as they're talking, and it punctuates the dialogue in a way that is not helpful and ends in a way that's not helpful. It doesn't add anything except for distraction. And that happens 2 or 3 times in the film with dolly shots.
Yeah.
And so it almost feels like it's this weird arbitrary use of the cinematic language. And I guess that's what bothered me. I should say that I think the actual cinematography, the light, the compositions are great. Pierre William Glenn is the cinematographer. I think it has great locations and light, but it just felt like the visual plan was muddled. Like the dolly moves were poorly timed for some reason.
Speaking to the director in the room, what did you think of these Scorsese-like shots, these dolly shots of when she's with the doctor and she's getting her diagnosis, the camera does that Scorsese zoom. There's almost... And I'm calling it the Scorsese shot because we're all familiar with that. There's almost like 3 or 4 of those in here. And I know that he and Scorsese were friends. I've known each other since the 70s or something.
There's a joke that I make about, and I don't want to put down Bertrand Tavernier. I think he's probably a great director. I haven't seen all of his films. I've only seen In the Electric Mist and this one. Mm-hmm. And I imagine Round Midnight is much better, which incidentally, Scorsese is in.
He's in it, yes.
But I'm not a big fan of the way he moves the camera in this, or the way that he creates movement in this. And I don't know, it almost feels intentional, like he's muddling it on purpose.
That's exactly how I felt. I mean, I love that shot I'm describing. It almost seems like, again, almost like this, going back to the score. Yeah. It's kind of put in there.
Like it's just thrown in, arbitrarily.
In the scene where they're telling Katherine her diagnosis, you could just stay on her face.
Yeah.
Romy Schneider so good.
Right.
Just stay on her.
To use a writing metaphor, it's almost like somebody is writing using particular words that are flashy, but they're emphasizing the wrong things at the wrong time.
Sure.
Or they're using a literary device at the wrong time. It's a very strange, it almost feels like he's learning how to direct while he's making this.
Yeah, I buy that. I mean, although at the same time, as much as I kind of agree that there are some of these movements or flourishes that are maybe ill-timed or used in slightly off way, I think the actual look of the film is successful for me. Mm-hmm. And granted, they're not tasked with like filming some crazy future, but everything kind of felt lived in, but alien enough that I could buy that. I could buy this version of whatever future it's supposed to be, whatever time it's supposed to take place in.
I think I could buy this version of the future. I guess what I'm speaking more to, it's not so much the locations or the production design as it is for me the visual language of the film.
Yeah.
That is mostly the camera, and also the audio language of the film. The music, which the placement is just like kind of a head scratcher for me at times. But
let me ask you guys how you feel about this, though. I don't know. I felt like it was effectively used, but you might feel differently. So the central conceit of Harvey Keitel's character, Roddy, is that he has agreed or been given a promotion, as the film describes it, to being a special kind of camera person. One who, in this case, had a camera embedded into his brain, and he can film things with his eyes. And I thought that there were two clever things that were being done there. One was that I thought that the use of light was interesting there because, A, it's integral to the plot with him. I mean, he literally has to shine a light in his eyes. But I thought that any time that he had to figure out where to find a light source in the dark was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was.
And then I also felt like, in a way, it almost felt like they were in different movies, which is probably a weakness of the film. But I did find it interesting to see like an early representation of video technology. This is definitely like the things that you're seeing through his eyes are definitely video. And we're constantly shifting through, from film to video as they jump between Keitel and what's going on in the command center. I don't know. How do you guys feel about like that stuff?
What like must have been in the novel, very, very interesting and quote unquote, it's ahead of its time, or shining a light on something that was forthcoming. I really liked it. I mean, I put in my notes here, the scene when Keitel is arrested and put in the cell without his flashlight.
Yeah.
Was very good.
It's really anxiety inducing because like if he stays in the dark too long, he loses his sight completely.
Yeah. I didn't know until the last part. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if you two caught something that I didn't. I did not know if it was told early in the story. If your eyes are in the dark too long, you will go blind.
Yeah, they do talk
Did
about
they
that.
Literally tell him that? Yeah.
It's very brief.
Well, I don't think they actually use that language, but he's getting like an eye exam.
Things could go wrong.
Yeah, but I don't think they ever specifically say go blind. So I guess I also was a little bit confused as what would happen.
I don't know. For some reason, I got it from what they said, and it had something to do with, he has to sleep with his eyes open. He has to keep his eyes open. He has to have light. That was all very clear to me, I thought. And I thought that he would lose his eyesight if he didn't.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact dialogue that gave me that impression.
Okay.
But yeah, so maybe they didn't use the word go blind, but I think they said something related that gave that impression.
Well, it's interesting that even me not recalling that or catching that, the scene in the cell was still very good. And that was the first where I heard, okay, there's some danger here if Harvey Keitel's character doesn't do what is required of him.
There's two reasons why he's an absolute utter dick to that guy at the whatever the travel shelter is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But one of them was because he needed a good camera vantage point on Katherine. But I also got the sense that the other one was because he constantly needed to be seeing that stained glass window. And now at that point he had his trusty little pen flashlight, but he even makes like kind of a reference as, this window is just beer bottles with the moonlight behind it if it's not in these shapes or whatever. But, I thought there were like little details like that were kind of neat. But I guess to your point, Bill, I would also say it's also kind of represents a missed opportunity, because I think there's probably a lot more you could have done with his vantage point that the movie doesn't really do.
Yeah, and not only that, like it seemed, why would anybody want to subject them? Like he can't go to sleep for real. And at some point he says something like, well, I don't like to sleep anyway. If you don't sleep, you lose your mind. Like after a while, your brain can't take that.
Well, there is that scene where he's in the lobby lounge bar with that woman.
Yeah.
And they're both taking futuristic drugs.
What was that scene? Because was she a lady of the night? I couldn't tell what was happening in that scene.
I thought she was just a patron that was there late.
But she says something about she was on I think she was on a beauty reality show. And then she says when she's leaving, she says, "Come talk to me if you see me again, even if I'm with someone else." And it sounds like it sounds like she's working or
Sure.
I just
something.
got the sense she was trying to pick up on him. I was also more taken with their discussion of like the actual drugs that they're using, and he says something like, "Are you on the beauty drug?" or something like that, which is a little clunky.
She'd seen him in Mean Streets. That's why.
That's right.
She was so attracted to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, to the sleeping, that's where Keitel's character mentions taking no sleeping pills or non-sleeping pills, which in this world might help him. But still, to your point, she's given a diagnosis where she might die in 2 months. Does that mean Keitel's character's not going to sleep for 2 months?
It makes no sense. Like, I mean, I know this is science fiction, but at the same time, it's grounded science fiction to some degree. It feels very like it's just slightly in the future. And so I would think that they would come up with a better conceit, but that, he has to stay awake or almost completely awake, because he does talk about taking naps with his eyes open, which is interesting. Is that possible? Do people do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can take...
You've never. I've had like a roommate. I had a roommate in college where we were like in the same room, and he would fall asleep with his eyes open. It was terrifying.
Wow. That is creepy.
It really was. Sorry, Cation, if you're out there. Actually, he lives in Malaysia. There's no way you can hear this. But no, I mean, I agree with you. That stuff is pretty clunky. And I think that, although I do feel like they always kind of have an answer for that stuff still. They even reference the fact that you can't go more than a couple days sleeping without, literally losing your mind. I mean, they have a line about that happening to lab animals or something like that. But so as clunky as I feel like some of that execution is, I do feel like they dotted their I's and crossed their T's and trying to like answer for most of it. But there are things that strain credulity for sure. And like one of the weirdest things is, and you kind of alluded to it, Bill, it's like they're in this future where they can fix everything. And Katherine is being told that she's dying, and she doesn't even really seem that concerned about or doesn't seem that interested in what might be happening. She's the most easily bamboozled patient of all time.
Colin, you don't understand is that in the future there's no second opinions.
It's
just your primary physician, and that's it.
You go to one doctor with suspicious mirrors on his wall, and he tells you that, and not only that, you start seeing your face on billboards, and you don't think, oh, what's going on with my life? Like somebody's documenting my life. I wonder who that could be. And how are they doing that?
And the voice used in this documentary of my life sounds very much like this guy I've been hanging around with.
Boy, that off-screen voice sounds familiar. Hey, Harvey, let's go have a drink. It's just like, what? Like, I don't know.
I mean, even that though, I feel like, and agree, it's pretty clunky, but I do think that they kind of try to figure out a way to make that work. I mean, they're staying in this weird derelict house, and they're always very mindful of like who has a TV, and she even calls it out when like she finds out that like Max von Sydow has one in his house, and so I do think that they are mindful of that stuff. I think that you might be right that the execution's not not there in many instances. But I think that this is a movie that at least knows what it's doing and is trying to cover as many bases as it can. I don't think it always does, but
that's my problem. Is I don't think it does. Even if it does, mentioning something isn't the same as handling it story wise.
Sure.
And I think that they're not doing that, whether it's laziness or that they just couldn't figure it out,
or they could have. I mean, in the film, they give her a very large sum of money, and she signs away her rights to be filmed. They could have said, well, as part of this agreement, you're going to stay in this hospital.
Right. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. You're going to live in this house or whatever. Just put cameras all over the house. Yeah. Instead, she's running across Glasgow like crazy,
But I never got the sense that she was aware of being on television while they were on the run.
No, she's not, as far as I know, except she should be, because she literally sees a giant billboard with her face on it that says Death Watch.
See, I got that. I just assumed that was because she knew that, was it NTV that is the name of the company that Harry Dean is the president of or director of,
something,
or whatever he's doing there.
Yeah.
And I just got the sense that it was because the media circus on her had already started. I actually think that's a pretty interesting scene where she's approached by kind of like a lesser media outlet who kind of tries, at least it's an interesting piece of writing, even if they don't bring it to its full conclusion, of this kind of like a lesser media guy who's trying to be like, listen, it's going to turn into a circus for you. What I can offer you is less of a circus for a little bit less money. I actually thought that was a pretty clever bit of writing,
I didn't mind that part. The part where that guy goes up and tries to sign a deal with her or doing something else. Well, I mean, I just don't buy these conceits. Hitchcock used to complain about the critics that he called the plausibles, right?
Sure.
They're the ones that would say, well, if somebody got on the train, then they wouldn't do this. I'm not that guy, I don't think. It's just when I keep getting slapped in the face with things that I think, well, why would they, when it doesn't work within the world it's created, when the characters don't act like people, then it starts to be irritating to me, because it feels like the writers aren't really handling their business.
And I think that's fair for this movie, because I didn't quite feel that way, but this is a movie that does seem very satisfied with with its own interpretation of the future. And if you're going to be that movie, then you really better have an answer for the way things work. And
if you create a world, respect that world.
Right.
And as far as her seeing the Death Watch, billboard, and then just thinking, oh, well, I guess I'm just a public figure because I'm dying. But the show's called Death Watch. She lives in that time. She must be aware of reality TV. She's using AI to help write her novel, that was a fascinating scene. I thought at the beginning. I was like, wow, that's like right now. That is literally of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, to your guys' point, this is extremely prescient. The topics, the ideas, they all are fascinating, and it's incredible that this guy was writing this in 1974 and that the movie came out in 1980. I just wish the execution were a bit more committed and skillful.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of writers out there who talk about science fiction. You have your guardrails are set up when you're writing a science fiction story. You really should know. To your point about Hitchcock, the plausibles.
Right.
You're going to have some, not handcuffs, but they're going to be really tight ropes.
I mean, just create a world and use that and follow the rules that you set up. That's all I ask, and have people act like people. Don't have it be convenient that they don't pay attention to things or don't think about things or whatever.
I do think that this movie might follow its own rules a little bit more than you're giving it credit for, but I will definitely agree that there are moments where these people do not act like people, and there are moments where there are these emotional flare-ups, and I don't blame the performances on this, where they didn't feel earned. So a good example is Katherine goes to visit her father in this, what is it? I guess it's their version of the home, right?
Okay.
Or the old folks' home. And I guess this is also the movie's solution to how we deal with death in this futuristic society. So basically, it's not that they've cured death. It's just they've just made people not care about it anymore. So, I mean, that's the vibe that I got. She's having this interaction with this doctor, and she's expressing all of this, psychic trauma about the way that she wishes it was, and she wants people to feel misery at the end and things like that. And that was just a moment that felt really hammy and unearned, and I do feel like that this movie has a lot of those moments.
She does have a few moments, yeah, where she goes into these kind of rants or tantrums, it feels like. And it's understandable to some degree because she's dying. Anybody dealing with dying soon probably has those moments. But yes, but dramatically, does it work when she freaks out on Harvey Keitel? She says things that make sense, which is a nice change. She says, I don't know you. What do you want from me? She says things like that, like, why are you following me? Yeah. Like, she says all the things that we're thinking that she should be thinking.
What do you mean?
Go now.
Something the matter?
We don't have to travel together. What are you hanging around for?
No reason.
I went myself. I'm sick! I'm sick!
It's okay.
Like hell it is!
We'll dry the stuff.
Get out of here, you creep! We don't know each other! What do you want? Right by stink.
We'll find a place to clean you up. Come on!
It's going to get worse. I go to vomit soon.
Stop!
Ah!
Please, just shut up! Shut up. Come on.
God damn, what a rotten, lousy last few days. Can you help me?
Shh. Just come on. I won't let you go.
Can you help me?
No. But I won't let you go alone.
However, should she be yelling them like that? Should she have said them maybe 5 scenes earlier? The elements are here. They're just not presented in a way that I'm believing, that I'm buying. And again, I hope I'm not like the plausibles. That's not where I come from. But I mean, I actually want to relax when I watch a film. I lean forward into it. I want it to take me into its world and tell me what's happening the way it wants to, in a way that works for the world it's built. I just feel like this movie, for me, didn't do that. But it is interesting. In fact, it's fascinating. Like the AI writing, the reality show stuff, the implants, which are surely going to happen, where people are recording with their eyes. The kind of fascination with, well, living is blasé and banal. So what's the most interesting thing that could happen after that? Death, I guess. And, so they're following this woman who's supposedly dying, which she's not really. And that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Lie to somebody that they're dying and see what they go through. And then at the end, have it be a switch and watch, their reaction to actually not having a terminal illness. That's interesting too. It has a lot of great ideas.
Yeah. They could have, think about this world if there's no illness and people who are aging, who are living to be in their 80s or 90s or older. Imagine quadrupling that population quickly or higher. What that world would be like. There'd be whole segments of particularly Western culture would just be overpopulated with everyone aging.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. That's what Blade Runner is.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Blade Runner, it's crowded, it's rainy, the climate has changed, much like it's obviously changing now in front of everybody's face. And you see those things visually. You feel them. You feel the oppression of the future. Whereas in this one, I didn't feel that as much.
What's interesting is my family, my wife and I watched this movie last night. The night before, we watched Soylent Green with the kids. And Aaron and I were talking about these two films' depiction of the future. You've got the film Death Watch where we're saying, it's in Glasgow, everything seems so green in some places. And then you have Soylent Green, which had, for those of you who haven't seen it, set in a future, but to Bill's point, very overpopulated city where you're literally walking downstairs and there's people sleeping on staircases and in hallways.
Yeah.
And for a future, that's in my mind at least, a bit more of an accurate depiction, particularly of a major city.
Well, yeah, and I mean, look, I like Alphaville by Godard, which is a kind of very lo-fi sci-fi movie, and I'm down for that. But at the same time, you know, Alphaville makes a bit more of a point of trying to give you unique architecture and shots and things like that. This film feels like it's shot in 1979 Glasgow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure, yeah.
it's not trying to do anything other than that, except for occasionally when you see a computer or there's that computer room where the executives and the producers and people talk about what's happening.
It's in dialogue.
On the reality show. Yeah, it's in dialogue. But most of the time you're in like beautiful Glasgow. It's overcast. There's beaches. There's you know, these ancient, you know, cottages and things like that. Who knows how old they are. And I'm just sort of, it's a lot of jarring concepts.
I guess that's but partly why it conjured like Children of Men to me. I felt like it was a lived-in dystopia where whatever the calamity is has already happened. And to me, that explained away a lot of that, but that could just be me being more disposed to want to like defend like what it's actually doing. But I do want to pivot back to what you're talking.
Wait, before we go away from that,
yeah.
Do you feel like Children of Men built more of a world visually, even though it was minimalist in a lot of ways, than Death Watch?
I feel like it did a lot of similar things to this. I think what it does, I think that it presents a future where the kind of futuristic things are more siloed off from the rest of the population.
But they exist.
They do exist, but I feel like they're pretty minimal.
They are.
I don't feel like you ever see like the version of. I don't feel like you ever see a future where there's flying cars in one part of Children of Men, and then the rest of it is
no. But there is that car that they're in that is more kind of futuristic.
Totally,
and it's not crazy. It's not I can't understand. Is this a car?
Totally, and I actually think that this movie probably labors under the delusion that like video technology is really futuristic.
Yeah.
And you know, there's like little design things like a weird square TV phone and things like that.
I was down with that. I just needed a little more.
A little more.
And also to I like that point, Colin. To going to Children of Men, I'm remembering the story correctly. Technological advances in the world of Children of Men. Once you find out that there's no more children, what would be the point?
Right.
And so they can eventually stop.
Yeah, in Children of Men, aren't they kind of going backwards at that point?
Yeah, but it's like, why would you want to build a Tesla truck or fill in the blank if you knew there were no more children?
Well, and also, yeah, I mean, I guess if you were the first iteration of a generation that's not having children, the dystopia can't have been that old at that point.
Yeah.
So all problems that this movie can't claim to have. But I did want to pivot back to what you guys were saying about death. Tell me if I'm reading this wrong, but I got the impression that it wasn't that they solved death in the sense that nobody died.
No.
Right.
People
Sickness,
die.
illness.
Sickness,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
People die of natural causes.
But I guess that I wasn't brought out of the film by wondering about how, like, what are they going to do with all the old people or whatever.
Well, no, I mean, I wasn't either necessarily, but the fact that somebody thought about that in something like a Blade Runner or other films helped bring me into a future world where things were different than they are in the present.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting. There was a scene towards the latter half of the film when they go on that truck with all those people who were refugees or what have you. And there's a great scene where the truck stops and Harvey Keitel and Katherine get out and he tries to pay off that money, pay off the driver, like, thank you.
Right.
And the driver says that great line, I think, where he says, why'd you give me so much money? Do you think any of these people care about Katherine?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I thought that was interesting. That kind of it made me think: is there another world out there?
Well, that hinted at
is
it.
the world of the Death Watch for the affluent,
Right. Or for the middle class, whereas there are people suffering and people don't pay attention to them.
Yeah. Like another example is when they're at this travel terminal, I guess it is. And they're like all having to do this thing where they get their thumbprint on this pink card. And there's this weird line that I didn't understand. You know, I couldn't tie it to the film in any meaningful way, which was they're saying, you know, why do we have to give them our fingerprint? And Keitel says something like, oh, it's because they don't want us to ever come back. And to your credit, Bill, I was thinking to myself, well, it'd be nice to know where they're going or why they have to go in the first place. So I do think that there are there are definitely details like that this film is absolutely lacking in, for sure. And I could have used more of that myself. But yeah, I mean, I do think I was captured by the lived-in world a little bit more than you might have been. But I can definitely see the need or want for much more of that stuff.
I mean, or even just hints of it. Like, I mean, like I said, Alphaville uses contemporary architecture that looks modernistic.
Yeah.
And that sort of just, it can be lo-fi. I'm fine with that. Just choose locations and build limited sets that give us a hint that time is different than right now.
Sure.
Because otherwise it just looks like right now.
Yeah, agreed.
That said, I love like I said, I love the Glasgow locations. I think the cinematography is beautiful. The music is beautiful, even though it's ill-used, and acting is amazing. Like, I mean, I think Harvey Keitel is great at times in this, where it really does. He's kind of cast against type, and it works. Like, and Harry Dean Stanton, same thing. I would not think of necessarily either of these actors if I were a director at that time and say, oh, why don't we put Keitel as the guy with the camera eyes and Harry Dean Stanton as the executive or producer?
Yeah, I love me some Harry Dean. Love.
Oh yeah,
but
me too.
I will say it does have to be plausible that Katherine could fall in love with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm just saying, in terms of their bravado, one might have a little bit more mileage than the other. I'm not saying that Harry doesn't clean up well.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, Natasha Kinski's with Harry in Paris, Texas.
Hey, listen.
She's no slouch.
Listen, who among us wouldn't want to date old Harry Dean had we had the chance?
Harry Dean was a sexy man.
I agree. Can I point out maybe one or two actual world building things that are kind of interesting, that are kind of subtle? This movie, even though it is definitely lacking in some of that sci-fi stuff, even any of it really, there are little touches in there that are kind of cool. I feel like there's like a lot of these decals and advertisements and things that this movie is doing really interesting. They have like a Poseidon burials banner at the end, which I thought was hilarious. It was like, be buried the Poseidon way at sea. And then but there are all these like little decals about recycling and things like that, which were definitely things that they added to the film, because recycling was probably a big concept in the 70s. And there's that, but they also had all this funny graffiti.
Yes, I think I know where you're going.
There's this one great piece of graffiti that so I think it's in the house that they're in the end. It says, "Jesus lives okay." I was like, oh, all right. And now you could take that you could read that a lot of ways. It could be Jesus lives okay, or Jesus lives okay.
Now I remember seeing that.
Or you're telling them.
Yeah.
Like you're slamming it home. Jesus lives okay.
Yeah, exactly that. So, I appreciate that.
I want to read another quote from Bertrand Tavernier.
Yes.
Quote, "The manipulation of the images, the transformation of the media, the way they are exploiting the life of people, the emotion, they are creating those reality shows, something which was speculation when we did it. Now it is a part of our lives." What do you think of the reality show portion of this, and how much it gets right and how much it gets wrong?
Well, I buy the invasiveness of it. There's the scene where, again, they're at this travel terminal, and as I mentioned earlier, Harvey, threatens to kill a man for his top bunk space.
Yeah.
And it's all because he literally is, I don't know if he falls asleep, but he's got to keep his eyes open and trained on Katherine.
Needs the
He's
shot.
not quite going to kill him. He's just going to make his
septum.
septum collapse with a chop of the back of his hand.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
I did too. I thought it's also funny that they revisit that character a scene later.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm sorry again." The guy just gets up. He doesn't even wait for the explanation.
But you're
What's
right,
funny
Colin.
is the guy doesn't look scared. He just looks put
He looks
out.
annoyed. Yeah,
he just looks annoyed.
I thought that was funny. I thought that was a good bit of
It
direction.
was good. It was.
Yeah.
That guy, I wonder if that guy was like a crew member or something. He just looks like such a normal guy.
Yeah.
The morality of it. You're right, Colin. I agree with that. I've got to get the shot at all cost.
Right. And I feel like that's the redemptive arc for Keitel is at first he is a voracious image capturer. He's literally saddling up to playgrounds and watching kids on swings and things. And he's so obsessed with the beauty of his own compositions and stuff.
In a way, isn't he, a cipher or a metaphor for a filmmaker? Somebody who's kind of like what we were talking about with camera buff, somebody who's constantly capturing, and everything they capture, they're enamored with the idea that it lives forever.
Oh yeah. And not only that, he's so enamored by the power of his own work. That's what turns him around.
He has that nice speech towards the end, which in my opinion should have been earlier for his character, where he talks about filming children at a playground and all the emotions he could film. Happiness, mystery, anger, etc. And then he says, to capture that all that in film forever. Who wouldn't want to do that?
That's a filmmaker.
Yeah. I agree. And
That's
I agree
Bertrand.
with you.
And that's to Colin's point. It shows his character, his character's drive, but also what his character is missing, the morality of it, of maybe not everything needs to be committed to film.
Well, I totally agree with you that the movie would have been served with that speech up front, and maybe not with such emotional gravity, but just more as a matter of fact. I mean, I think that would have served the film in an interesting way. But yeah, so I mean, in terms of your question, Bill, it's like, I think it nails the exploitiveness of reality TV. It nails its kind of voyeuristic nature.
And the manipulation of real people's lives to create more drama than there actually is.
Yes. But I'll tell you, I actually got more of a modern social media vibe from it than an actual reality thing. Because it almost, the idea of having a camera in your eyes is not very far stretched from just everybody has a camera in their pocket.
Sure.
And so that was kind of more in the back of my mind than actually thinking about, The Bachelorette or whatever it is.
Sure. I was wondering, are you guys aware of any reality shows that actually do follow like terminally ill people? Has that ever happened?
There have been docu-reality, sure, but nothing that's like trying to play up the drama. I mean, essentially, there are shows like My 600-Pound Life. I mean, and now I'm not going to say that everybody that's been fused to their couch because they're 800 pounds is going to die tomorrow, but they don't have much time left. So in a way, is this like all that far off from something like that? Maybe less
not
trashy, but
no, I don't think it's that far.
There have been people with terminal cancers or other illnesses who film mainly for the family or posterity.
Yeah, but I meant like a show
a third
exploiting
for entertainment.
A third party doing it? No, at least not that I know of.
I mean, I can think of some Louis Theroux kind of BBC documentary stuff that's kind of skirts that a little bit, but it's usually in documentary guys. I do think he's one of those guys that can kind of slip into infotainment.
When you watch it, does it make you wiggle?
I'm surprised that you went there. While I did get the reality vibe, I guess I would just say social media was front and center in my brain as well, and I don't think they were going for that, but that speaks to some of the prescience, and admittedly probably speaks to some of the prescience of the book. I mean, for all I know, all the interesting concepts spring directly from the book. And
I give that credit to the book,
right,
to the author, obviously. Right. Another quote that I want to give from Bertrand Tavernier, which I thought was interesting about the kind of science fiction he's trying to make. Star Wars was not my type of science fiction. My type is more Orwell or Philip K. Dick. It's more Blade Runner than the space opera, which bores me to death. I think that in fact, Star Wars is nothing else than a new adaptation of Hopalong Cassidy. And it does feel, to his credit, he definitely feels like he's making more of the former, less of the latter. He's not, this isn't a space opera. He's not trying to take us into fantasy or give us an adventure that's kind of a swashbuckling type of affair.
Actually, that's an interesting point, because I'm actually, now that I think about it, getting shades of Fahrenheit 451, the original. I've never seen the modern remake or series.
I actually haven't seen either of them. Are you talking about the Truffaut one?
Yeah, and it's pretty... I mean, it does have more world building elements that kind of speak to what you're talking about, Bill, but it also feels pretty lived in and not super built up, I guess. But it's interesting. Maybe we should do that one of these days.
That'd be fun.
Bernard's not a fan of a little of the westerns. What?
Bertrand Tavernier. Yeah. He's
Bertrand.
I don't know. He obviously likes thrillers. He likes sci-fi.
He hates Kurosawa.
I thought that despite the way that this story is executed, that I thought there's some skillful editing. And that's by Michael Ellis and Armand Seni. I also want to bring up Antoine Duhamel, who did the music, which I thought was good. I thought I liked the music. I did wish that, not to be cliche or, be a total normie, but would have been nice to have some electronic sounds in there. Or
Agreed.
something. Yeah.
There were some lines of dialogue that I thought were done extremely well. Yeah, there's one I wrote down. I really liked it.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the film, when she's with her first husband, played by Max von Sydow, she picks up his journal, and he explains he was writing in that journal when he heard about her diagnosis. And she has this great reply where she says, "You stopped in the middle of a sentence like us."
Like us. Yeah, that is a great
That's
that
a
is
great line.
Yeah.
That just says so much about their marriage that didn't work
Right.
in one line of dialogue.
And obviously, like, she laments the end of that marriage. She's kept his name, his last name.
And she wanted to go see him before she moves on,
Right.
passes on.
Yeah, and I would say by and large, she's the one who's tasked with all those lines. I don't think that Harvey's got many. Although I feel like he gets a little bit more navel-gazing when he loses his vision, which I guess he would have no choice but to.
Yeah, when he can't see anymore, that's when he truly sees. So what do you guys want to talk about themes?
Well, I think we've mostly kind of touched on them. I mean, do you feel like there's anything that we're really missing out on?
No, I think to be specific, watching the effect of technology in creating entertainment that is our lives, and yet it's somehow taking us away from who we really are, which is a theme of the present day. It's not surprising anymore. It is the reality. You know, we're all, as you said, it's kind of analogous to social media and the way things are going right now. And I think that's a big theme. Tavernier himself said, quote, "The film is the story of a woman trying to fight to preserve a dignity, freedom, choice, in a society which wants to dramatize everything, including our own deaths. And she wanted to have the right to die the way she wants." End quote.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty front and center, and I think that they handled the theme. I think that the themes are represented well and not particularly subtle, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I like the social media aspect that Colin brought up earlier. You know, we dramatize everything, and to write about that in the 70s, about something that all of us do today.
Yeah.
We dramatize everything. We have to record everything. We have to share the experience of everything with everyone.
Tweens on their phones are dramatizing everything
Every
they
moment
do.
of every day. And then that emptiness if we don't get a response.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Approval. That's something that they didn't really, but I mean, they weren't directly talking about social media, but yeah, that's something that would have been nice to see represented. You know,
like
somebody who's on one of these reality shows wondering, you know, what does the public think? How do they feel? And you do see Keitel going and watching his own program at one point, which is a great moment, actually. One of my favorite.
I guess I actually thought it was kind of a lost opportunity that we don't see any other camera eyes people. I mean, I guess that it's kind of like a prototype, right? But
yeah,
I thought that was a bit of a missed opportunity. Just the seeing somebody who's like bought into this hook, line, and sinker and has it mastered,
right?
Like a professional TikTok influencer or whatever it is, or whatever this version of that is, would be kind of interesting, and we don't get the chance to see that.
You just made me think of something. I'm always thinking horror.
Yeah.
How great would it have been if Harvey Keitel, towards the end of the film, he sees another guy standing there watching him.
Yeah.
He's another cameraman.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't see that another man is watching him.
Yeah.
And his reality show is, you know, Blind Watch or whatever, you know, and he's just being documented in his newly found blindness, and he has to do, that would be interesting.
David Compton and Bertrand Tavernier needed us to do punch up for the script.
I think they did.
what we're learning.
Yeah, us and Judd Apatow.
Open the film on Catherine's diagnosis, and that's how it starts.
For some reason, this film quite strangely is dedicated to Jacques Tourneur, and I love Jacques Tourneur. He was a director of very low budget, often cosmic horror. And he directed things like, you know, I Walked with a Zombie, Night of the Demon, also known as Curse of the Demon. And his stuff is amazing. And the fact that Tavernier dedicates it to him, I mean, I'm happy that he has the respect and love that he has for him. I do too. But I just wonder, what is the connection?
Well, you know, to that point, Bill, I'm sure both of you noticed, the office of Harry Dean Stanton's character had a variety of film posters in it. Creature from the Black Lagoon, The Incredible Shrinking Man, The Tall Tea.
Yeah.
It had Bud Bedeker's Tall Tea?
It sure did.
I
And
love
if
that movie.
Is supposed to be. You can't say that that's supposed to be Harry's character. That's got to be Bertrand saying something.
Totally.
And then to make the dedication that he did at the end of the film, he loved a good midnight movie. That's what I think.
See, there are these choices that are made that are interesting, but it's like they're not informed by telling the story. They're just informed by like, wouldn't this be cool?
Well, going back to the dedication to Tavernier, I just think that he was so formative in like kind of breaking the ground on movies about macabre subjects, you know. And so, if anything, maybe that's all that is. But yeah, second point taken. I would say that I feel like we are, well, Bill's being hard on it and I might be being a little bit too lenient on it. I think there's more than enough here. And Dave, it sounds like maybe you're a little bit more neutral, but I think that like between the three of us, I don't know, I would have a hard time not recommending it. I do think it's at the very least a really unique watch. I don't think it all coalesces into the whole that maybe I believe it does. But I also don't know if it's necessarily the concept salad that Bill might think it is. But either way, it's I think that it's pretty unique and worth your time. It does meander a bit, and I could maybe have used about 20 minutes less of it.
Yeah, I like that summary, Colin. I think if you're a fan of science fiction films and you haven't seen this one, watch it because you're going to enjoy it. And then to look back and go, this film was made in 1980.
I think
from
for
a book
that,
from the mid-70s.
that is a good recommendation for the conceptualization from the concepts and the ideas that are in the film. Watch it for those reasons. Don't watch it for the execution personally, but watch it because it has great ideas and it talks about things that matter, and it's ambitious. It just sometimes we swing and we don't quite hit the ball squarely.
Well, and who among us doesn't need more Harry Dean in their lives? So at the very least,
More Harry Dean, more Harvey Keitel, more Romy Schneider. I don't know if I've seen a single film with her. I think this might be the first, and I thought she was amazing.
Yeah,
same here.
And to your baseball analogy, Bill, I mean this picture swings and you're going to get on base.
Yeah,
that's going to be a homer, but you're going to maybe a single.
You might squeak by on base. You might get to first.
Okay, it's a bloop into center field, but it's not a bunt single. Let's at least give it some credit.
Exactly.
We can do this analogy all day, Bill.
I don't hate the movie.
I can stretch a baseball metaphor as it pertains to movies all day long.
Fantastic.
Coming up on the next episode, Field of Dreams.
Yeah.
Quote. Here we go. Another quote.
Okay.
I'm not so happy to have been so prophetic. I'm not so happy for us. I'm not so happy there was such a drastic change, which I think in a little way corrupted our minds and our intelligence. End quote. Bertrand Tavernier. Speaking of social media. David, what are 3 films you've seen recently, old or new, that you'd suggest to an audience?
Just got whiplash from that topic change.
I'll just rapid fire.
I don't do
No, there's no segues.
no segues. I go right in. I go hard. Raw.
Rapid fire. Saw Conclave, which is up for a Best Picture nomination this year. Really enjoyed it. The screenwriting's phenomenal, also based on a novel.
Okay.
Wife and I were goofing around looking for something to watch. We watched The Changeling with George C. Scott.
Oh, wow.
Peter Medak.
Love that movie.
Supernatural horror film. Highly recommend. Probably my 4th time watching it. My wife's first. She adored it. And then watched, well, I already mentioned Soylent Green earlier. But I watched a film called The Apology, which is available, directed by a friend of mine, Alison Locke. Very much a two-hander, could even be a thriller, creepy little play set late one night on a wintry evening.
We're going to have Allison on the program.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, she was supposed to be here earlier, but I had the flu.
That's going to be a very good episode. Listeners, watch for that one. Yeah, we're very much movie lovers at my house. We're watching a movie almost every night.
Yeah.
Those are 3.
Excellent.
That's fantastic. How can people find out more about you, David?
I'm on all the socials, Instagram, David Draper Writes. Just Google David Draper, screenwriter, I'll come up. There's also a Mr. Olympian from the 1960s who will come up before me, but I'll probably be second.
Yeah. And first in our hearts, that's for sure. And you, sir, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I think we've all learned that we need to do more dances on TikTok. Basically, this is what we've all learned from this episode. Everyone start dancing.
Absolutely. This episode is sound engineered by Colin Dixon, edited and mixed by William Boudel, produced by William Boudel and Colin Dixon, original music composed by Michael Riola, recorded at Bill's Hollywood Dell in beautiful Hollywood, California. If you'd like to contact us with comments, suggestions, or high praise, email us at cosmicmotionshow@gmail.com or send us a voice message at speakpipe.com/Cosmic Motion. You can find us on the socials at Cosmic Motion or Cosmic Motion Show. Emails, messages, audio, or other media you send us may be featured on this program. Thank you for joining us on this episode. We want to thank our guest, David Draper.
Thank you, guys. It's been great.
Thank you so much. We look forward to sharing more thoughts with you on the next one. Until then, keep learning, growing, creating. We'll see you later there, Colin.
Yeah. Woo!
All right. Signing off.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
Week after week, I'm mesmerized by the focus given great films and questionable films alike. But every episode is a learning and entertaining experience.
This is hands down the best movie podcast. They cover so many different genres across so many years, from obscure movies to blockbusters.
If there's only one podcast about movies and cinema that you listen to, make it this one.
Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
How you doing, David?
Doing good.
All right, you sound good.
Are we recording?
We might be.
You bet your bottom dollar.
Okay.
When you walk in this house, we're recording.
Yes.
This is a reality show.
Welcome to the surveillance state. Welcome to the Cosmic Motion
Yeah.
disaster surveillance capital.
You've heard of Big Brother? We're worse.
Yeah.